Now, back to more of Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theatre. And your host, Lisa Condit.
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in. Our conversation continues now with Dick Lavey. Dick is the President of Field Operations and the Chief Marketing Officer for the Hanover Insurance Group. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. It's great to be here.
Oh, we love having you. So we were talking a little bit before we got going. You've been with the Hanover for quite some time.
10 years. I just had my 10-year anniversary January 18th of 2014, to be precise.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And now I imagine the Hanover, because in working a little bit with Mr. Eppinger for our opening, it seems that he does a very good job at appreciating his people.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I bet at 10 years you got something good.
I wish I could say I got a nice watch or something like that, but a
no
nice pat on the back. And no, he does a great job. Our culture is awesome, and it's just a vibrant kind of entrepreneurial place to work. So that alone, I guess, is my gift.
Well, it really is awesome. And we were talking a little bit. We have two different perspectives, because I started with the Hanover Theatre right before our grand opening in November, and we were opening in March. And right around that time, Fred Eppinger had already been approached, and he had already stepped up and convinced the board that they were going to be a naming sponsor, had already committed to spending the money, but also he committed to sending in this fleet of unbelievably dynamic, energetic, go-getter, accomplished people to help us open our doors.
Right. Yeah, it was a huge commitment that the organization made, and we're so proud of that. And I give Fred all the credit for his foresight and just level of commitment, both financial and human resources. So some of those folks, I mean, as you know, they were pulled from their day jobs and 100% dedicated to the opening of the theater. In fact, I worked closely with a couple of those folks because they came out of my area, which is marketing.
Thank God you gave them to us, though, because we could not have done it without people like Jen Tarka.
Right.
And we couldn't have done it without people like Mary.
Mary Hyder.
And Mary is now working for you.
She is. Yep. She works directly for me in my role as CMO. So it's terrific. And they have, you talk to any of those folks, they have just fantastic stories and memories of that time. I mean, it was chaotic, as you know. I mean,
yes.
I remember I was privileged to have a tour. It must have been, it felt like just weeks, maybe even like 3 weeks before the grand opening, and there was this crazy amount of work to be completed before opening night. And so there's just the energy and the sort of the excitement that was kind of pulsing through the place, and these folks that were from the Hanover, but with you guys full time, just talked about it in that way. So it was really
yes. Yeah. Oh, I remember unwrapping chairs on the stage and unpacking the vans and all of that, and everybody rolled up their sleeves and got it done. In fact, on my second day at the Hanover Theatre, we had a press conference, and the press conference was all about how we were going to be opening on March 14th. And I remember it was day 2 of the job, and I go, and there's this press conference, and the whole thing is orchestrated beautifully because your people set it all up, which was fabulous. And I remember thinking to myself, as I looked out, and there was no shape to the outside of the building, and the wind was blowing in, and it's November, and we're opening in March. Of course we're going to open. But the amazing thing is that every day walking through that building, you could see more and more work being accomplished, and people were literally working around the clock in all different capacities. But let me ask you, you were at the Hanover when Fred was first approached about supporting this project.
Right.
What happened?
Well, so I honestly I can't say that I was in the fine conversations, very detailed conversations that took place, but sort of once the commitment was made and it was public and our people were being pulled in, I can just tell you that there was this incredible sense of pride that we were, one of the founding members and certainly, the major financial supporter of bringing this amazing building back to life. So there was, I was, like I said, I wasn't engaged in a lot of the, nitty gritty conversations, but from a macro standpoint and from, how our employees felt, it was awesome. We just felt really proud to be an enabler of making this happen, and there's so many people that put a lot of hard work and energy into it. But as I know, the Hanover feels so passionately about helping the city of Worcester become a vibrant city that attracts top-rate talent. So
Right.
certainly from a business perspective, we feel strongly about helping this entire region, sort of improve its outside perception,
Right.
and we've really I know you know the Hanover story, but we've hired over 4,000 people across the country, but many of them here in Worcester, and so it helps to be able to point to things like the Hanover Theatre as an attraction point to the city,
Right.
To have Broadway quality shows in our backyard. Means a lot to some people, and of course, this, as you know, is just the beginning where we continue
Right.
to make strides at bringing downtown back to
Right.
some of its old glory.
So talk to us a little bit about that from a corporate perspective. Obviously, the Hanover has been a leader with
Right.
its corporate support, not just of the Hanover Theatre, but in the downtown development and
Yeah.
revitalization.
Yeah.
What specifically about the Hanover Theatre do you think really captured everybody's heart and soul and made the charge just go full steam ahead?
Well, it begins with the history and the heritage of that. So if you're stepping back, thinking strategically, how does the Hanover accomplish what we just talked about? Helping the city become a vibrant place.
Right.
It's sort of hard to come up with a better option where you've got this gorgeous building that had been turned into a movie theater, right? And I went to Holy Cross, and I was a waiter at Pickwick's, which was right next door to that, and I remember it so vividly that folks would go to be screaming to get their dinner finished to make it to the movie theater. But so this building is remarkable, and the vision that the early founders of this had, I think it was really attractive, and you can get your head around it. It was a very, I guess, viable proposition, to bring this back to life, to its original state. And as you well know, this marketplace was thirsty for that level of entertainment and theater and performing arts. So, from a business case, I think it was pretty easy to get your head around, honestly.
Absolutely. And I don't know that people really knew what a big deal it was going to be.
Right.
Did you know?
I didn't know. In fact, it was sort of easy to, be a doubting Thomas, but in 5 short years, as you know, it's the progress has been remarkable, and to have an institution go from zero to being a self-sustaining organization is almost unheard of. So we didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. You hoped you hoped it would be for all the financial and other resources that you put behind it.
Right. But, I think it's also important to note it's that energy and then the enthusiasm that's contagious from the people from your organization that were involved from the very beginning.
Right.
And that is such a great community builder with your organization.
Right. And it's gone from there. It's just blossomed. I can tell you, as you know, Lisa, we now have a tradition of hosting our employee holiday event at the theater for, whether it's a Christmas Carol and this year the holidays.
Right.
And I can tell you it has this amazing impact on our organization. When the day after those events, it's the buzz in the hallway. Everybody's talking about their experience at the theater or the show that they saw. And this year, the Cirque du Soleil holidays. I mean, you couldn't pass a person by without hearing, what was your favorite act? Which one did you like the best? I love this one. What about you? So it was really, really fun. And so that tradition, has just, and the fact that we're bringing folks to the theater that probably wouldn't go on their own,
Absolutely,
are now having this great experience, and then they're going to tell 2 friends and so on and so forth. So I think it's really just, it's catching on.
Well, and what I love too is that you didn't stop at just being the naming sponsor. The Hanover also has your President Award banquet. Right. I don't know if it's a banquet. Your President's Award.
President's Service Awards ceremony.
There you go. And sorry, I didn't have the exact right name for that, but I know that event is typically one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, well-planned events we love to take pictures of it because we wish that every corporate event was like that, but also you're a corporate sponsor.
Right.
You're Franklin Square Society members. You contribute to the Securing the Future Capital
We're
campaign.
all in.
You're all in. You're all in, and that makes a big difference. So thank you for being a leader.
Absolutely.
And thank you for getting some of your other corporate buddies to participate. And we're going to talk a little bit about how our board has changed and just the focus of where we're going as far as how we're involved after a quick break. So everybody stay tuned for more behind the scenes at the Hanover Theatre here on WCRN AM 830.
Now back to more of Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theatre and your host, Lisa Condon.
Thanks again for listening as we continue our conversation here with Dick Lavey. He's the president of Field Operations and the chief marketing officer for the Hanover Insurance Group. Welcome back.
Thank you, Lisa. Great to be here.
So we were just starting to talk about the board,
right? Because
now you're a member of the board. How long have you been on the board?
Oh, a year and a half,
right?
Or so. Yeah.
And so, what are some of the changes that you've seen, and what's the new direction?
Well, I'll say it's such a privilege.
Absolutely.
Really, I'm blessed to be chosen to participate on this board. I come onto it after many 6, 7, 8 years of hard work, and I would say we're in a period of transition. As in the early days, the board did so much work to help this organization get out of the gates and probably spend more time on operational and probably even, sort of participate in your world in marketing.
Funny, I didn't really have a lot of participation in my world, but people definitely notice whether we have billboards or not and ads, and they think maybe we should advertise.
Right.
But, we were a startup organization. Now we're growing up, right?
So now, as is always the case as a board member, our primary objective is to keep this organization vibrant and its mission alive and very importantly, financially stable for the future. So we're spending a lot of time and energy, as you know, with the current capital campaign underway, raising money to protect its future with the hope of retiring the debt that was taken on to get this organization off the ground.
And it's interesting you should point that out because I think that some people see we're one of the top 50 theaters in the world and we are doing really well. And
absolutely.
I think that sometimes people, A, forget we're a nonprofit organization, and B, think, oh, they're doing just fine. Look at all these people in the theater. They're raking it in. We don't have to worry about them.
Right. Oh, gosh, right? I wish that were the case.
Right.
I mean, we're having great success. So it's remarkable that in a short period of time, the organization has turned, operationally, making some money, but it is a not-for-profit, and it's so important that the board, continues to be passionate about engaging folks in the community, both individuals as well as corporations, to preserve this gem and to build on the success that we've had. So, so we're spending a lot of time on fundraising. Both for this capital campaign, but beyond too, right? We want to pull folks onto the board that have a real passion for performing arts and theater, and really are going to work tirelessly on behalf of the organization to raise money. That's a big part of it. The old saying, it's time, treasure, and talent. The three responsibilities of a board member. And what's awesome about this board is there's folks from different backgrounds and both different work experiences. So it makes the discussion and debate really interesting and lively. And each board member brings a different element to that time, treasure, and talent. But we're certainly focusing a lot on the treasure piece right now.
Well, as all nonprofits need to, right? And so we are in the middle of a Securing the Future Capital campaign.
Right.
We've all been doing a lot of work for our Tony Awards Gala that's coming up in April.
Right.
And so what's kind of after that?
I would say we're going to continue to, provide some stewardship to the organization to help this, maybe climb even higher in the worldwide rankings.
Yes,
right?
Number one, Dick. Number one.
But that means staying true to its mission. I mean, I think it's remarkable the kinds of programs that have been developed for the community. But I think I see that happening probably more more cultural events. You know, I think there's a push for some from within some pockets of the Worcester community that we can bring more cultural events to the theater to reflect, you know, the local communities, society.
And we just had a legislative breakfast. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that legislative breakfast and some of the things that we are acutely aware of that people love about visiting the theater and where we might need help and support?
Yeah, that's a great point. We did have a legislative breakfast, which was terrific. It brought together, you know, sort of the local and regional legislators that have been tremendously helpful to us, right?
Absolutely.
In working through certain issues, you know, but there's issues with the casino, the casino bills that we've gotten involved in, and you know, currently with the other development downtown, parking is a big concern of the organization. It's what we hear often about. One of the great things about this theater is its ease of access, so in and out very easily, and so parking is a major concern that we want to preserve. And so, you know, bringing the legislatures to the table to help us figure that out with space within the city.
And let me just be clear with everybody: when Dick is talking about parking, he's not talking about the parking garage across the street.
Right on.
Everything is great with the parking garage across the street. It's this new growth and development that's happening in downtown Worcester, which occasionally can cause some crunches.
Yeah.
For example, our Franklin Square Society members, they have a special lot.
Right.
And that's behind the theater.
That's right.
And so there's some development going on there. And so Dick and the other members of the board, they're looking for other ways to serve that targeted audience so that they still have that wonderful ease of access.
Absolutely, yeah. The Franklin Square Society members are a great part of this organization, and that is one of the benefits is, you know, some parking behind the theater. And as you pointed out, with the growth downtown, which is a good problem. It's a great problem for the city. There's just a temporary sort of, you know, nudging out of some spaces. So we're working on that. But back to your main point, you know, the legislators, what was great to hear them talk about is what the theater has done to for this city and for the local communities, and each of them recounted their favorite stories of attending, you know, an event here and what it meant, and you know, you could just tell that everybody was so prideful of its success, and they were humble about their role in that, and certainly gave you and your staff and Troy, you know, remarkable accolades for what you guys have done.
And they were varied. I noticed that they were varied experiences. So some people really enjoyed the Broadway, some people really enjoyed comedy, some people really enjoyed music, others more community events.
Absolutely.
You know, like the inauguration. And I have to say, I just heard Colin Powell speak at the Hanover Theatre when he spoke to the students from Worcester Technical High School. What a powerful speaker.
I was sad to miss it, but I heard it was remarkable.
I love his perpetual optimism. We need to spread that here in downtown Worcester, and I think it's happening. I really do.
Yeah.
So how many board members do we have, and is that the right number? Are we looking for more, looking for less, and do they serve on committees?
They do. So there's in low 20s in terms of how many we have, which feels like a good number, and I think that's the number that we'll continue forward with. The committee structure is really important to the board, and Mo Bovair is our chair, who took over for Jimmy O'Brien, is doing a great job, really trying to build out the committees as the real working layer of the board. So we're all rolling our sleeves up and participating on 5 or 6 various committees. That is I would say getting real work done, and then bringing that to the broader board for discussion and debate and decision. So it really feels like it's evolving.
Absolutely,
and the real work is being done. And so, going forward, I think we'll probably stay about the same size. But as is the case with any nonprofit board, you have folks rolling off and new folks coming on, and that's healthy. Brings fresh perspective and renewed levels of energy. But I will say, the energy levels from everybody on the board, they're so proud. We just did a survey, a self-survey, to kind of ask ourselves, how are we doing? What things can we get better at? Which is a healthy thing to do. And one of the number one messages that popped out of that was just how proud the folks on the board are to be on the board. I
think that is uniform, whether you're a board member, a staff member, a volunteer. a supporter, a member, everybody takes pride. And that was the other thing that was very nice to hear from the legislators, is that they said that they are receiving accolades because people have heard of Worcester because of the Hanover Theatre and what's going on there, and that's brought a whole new level of recognition to Worcester. And I'm sure with our other partners like the Worcester Art Museum and our other WooCard partners, there is a lot going on in this city. It's good for everybody. It's good for businesses. It's good for individuals. Thank you for everything that you and the other members of the board are doing to help support that and bring it forward. No, it's a privilege for me to be part of it. I've went to Holy Cross, so I spent a lot of time in Worcester, and then I've worked at the Hanover for 10 years. So Worcester's been, a big part of, where I've spent my life. So it's a great privilege to be able to now be part of this organization. Well, and like we've been saying since the very beginning, this is all about experience the new Worcester. A lot of us are familiar with Worcester. We're from the area, but it's just in the last 5 to 7 years that we're really starting to see all of the gems that we have, not just with the theater, but again with our other partners. So thanks again, Dick.
You're welcome.
And anybody who wants more information about how to get involved, visit our website at thehanovertheatre.org. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and sign up for our weekly online newsletter, because that's how you're going to find out about the new shows that are going on sale, as well as special opportunities. So everybody have a great day. Have a great week ahead. We'll see you at the theater. And until next time, take care.